Another expansion, another ultimate raid with an abbreviation. UCOB, UWU, T, DSR, TOP, Raffle, Barbecue, DMV, TTYL. And now, FRU, or FRU, IYK. These guys beat it, but there was a sniper spotted. So then someone else beat it instead. And the weapons? Oh my god. We'll get there. Nothing but good times in patch 7.1. The story got me like this. The dungeon got me like this. This guy's mustache is horrible. Chaotic Alliance raid? Isn't that just an average day in Alliance Roulette queue? And then the main course of raid this patch, Jeuno. What's up, Final Fantasy XI? Long time no see. Just kidding, I re-downloaded Final Fantasy XI. Uh-oh. I'd been traveling for work at 7.1 launch, but had a mighty need to check out what the community is calling one of the funnest, most insane 24-man Alliance raids to date. I planned on waiting to play the new raid, but decided, you know what would make good content? New 24-man raid. First time, no guide, hotel Wi-Fi, laptop setup, EU ping from Berlin to North America data center. Sounds awful, which is why I thought it'd make for a good video. But then my hotel Wi-Fi turned out being pretty good. It'd end up being a boring video, just me occasionally like locking in to watch the effects pop off and see where things were happening. And the challenge is already here in the raid into itself. I literally can't see shit. What the hell is going on? Just turn down the effects, forehead. Just turn down the effects. Look, I didn't pay... Hold on. Played Around Reborn to Heaven's Ward, took a hard break to Heaven's Ward Stormblood, about 2 years, played Stormblood through Shadowbringers, haven't been on sub since, $17 sub average, $100 collector's edition. This is rough math, but just hang tight. I'm trying to make a point. Correct me in the comments as you do. 96 months sub times $17 per month. $600 total in expansions. Okay, I did not spend $2,232 approximately average over a decade to turn down the effects, unless I need to. I streamed my 4th week reclear of this, and for the unfamiliar, this raid is an actual light show. My so-called best friend has this hilarious bit where he proclaims, fireworks game! And, you know, I kind of laugh it off because I know it's true, and admittedly some days the joke is very overplayed, because I know this guy doesn't care at all for this game, but actively plays games like Path of Exile or, you know, any other flashy game that just blows up in his face, but insists on informing me every time I play Final Fantasy XIV that this game has a lot of effects and is in fact a fireworks game. Ha! Ha! In this occurrence, though, I get it. Not even Frontlines PvP looks this visually unaudible. Also, I'm probably coming up to like 6,000 hours of total playtime, so in retrospect, $2,000 isn't too bad. For the amount of time this game is giving me back, 35 cents an hour or something on average. I probably pay more for just existing, so like, that's kind of cool. 10 out of 10. Feed me the visuals. I am awake and aware. And look at the gear. The Final Fantasy XI Archangels can be so annoying across games. I need to dress just like them. And these raid drops ensure I'm looking as goth as it gets in an MMORPG. But I do love all these callbacks to 11. Reunited with Prish, hanging out with Fafnir, the Archangels, Shadow Lord, notable visions of pain as I progress through this raid, and lastly, coming to the end of the raid and experiencing Jeuno, at least a portion of its glory. Open up the damn auction house now. This ghostly guy wants to party up, taking us back to simpler times. We're also greeted with a nice holiday callback to 11 during the Starlight Celebration. Oh, and EX3 seems cool and all. Congratulations, you've done it. I still have to do it. Weapons. You need them. Every class uses them, except for, I don't know, Blue Mage, kind of. Across the history of Final Fantasy XIV have been the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sometimes all in one. And this is all largely subjective, but we can all agree that the ultimate weapons have to be the coolest iridescent popsicles you have ever seen. You've got ultimate hydration, mountain clear, very hydrated. Hydrated, but should maybe see a doctor. Could probably drink some water, but not necessary. And then this is what it looks like when you're 2 Red Bulls deep, no water. And these are all fine and dandy, quite beautiful truly, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Now let's set all that stuff aside and focus on the only weapon I ever need, ever. The Fishstick! Found in the new Figmental Weapon boxes through exploring portal dungeons of the latest treasure map. And costing a whopping 12 mil? What the hell, man? Well, at least when I was hunting for it, it was like 12 mil. I personally could not commit to map runs, and honestly, maybe I could have tried to solo a few as a warrior maid, but between trying to get my hundreds up, work, and other games, I thought to myself, how hard could it be to make 12 mil? And I should have just farmed the map. These weapons were first announced in a design contest about 2 years ago, and they are all outstanding. Shark Monk Glove, Flower Bouquet Gun, Forks and Knives, More forks and knives. Cake on a fork even. An actual type weapon from Kingdom Hearts, or just like a fire dancer thing. A bombfish on a goddamn stick. You see, the problem with all warrior weapons is that they're all warrior weapons. The axe. And I get it, I hear you. Axes are so awesome, and that's literally in the class design. But ever since they dunked in the dwarven mithril hammer, I knew this game was severely lacking in the warrior hammer department. Meanwhile, this tall doorknob of a man gets a hammer, and he's had it for like years now. Where's mine? Where my hug at, CB3? There's the dwarven hammer, Asphodelos hammer, Parashu, kind of. It's blunt, I guess. Same with like maybe the Genji Great Axe, the Black Hypocrisphira, even the final Bravura relic that feels so canonical and more so post Shadowbringers, or the Ragnarok with easily some of the coolest lore in Final Fantasy history would better suit a fine warrior. Ragnarok is first introduced in Final Fantasy III as a weapon found in Eureka and is referenced in the relic weapon of Final Fantasy XIV. While it originally appears as a great sword through the series, it shapes to become a warrior's axe as described by Jalzan and the Encyclopedia Eorzea, stating, "If the legends are to be believed, one of the mighty Zodiac Braves tore this terrible instrument of death and destruction from the icy grip of a slain void-sent lord. Yet when he did, it still bore the form of a greatsword. It was not until many moons of carnage in the hands of the hero that Ragnarok completed the metamorphosis into its current shape." That's badass and all, but I like this. Impressive, glorious, makes this funny little noise when you equip it and unequip it. And it looks cool with my glam. And the backpack. It's part of it. And it only cost me 12 mil. Circling back to this, look, without pointing it out every time, I'm not great at making gil. I sold all my nice dyes. And why are jet black and pure white so expensive these days? All my materia and whatever else I could throw on the board. I can't market board PvP like y'all can. This is something, again, I just need more hours for in a day to do, and I fully accept that. 10 mil. Only 2 more to go, then I'll get my beloved bombfish. Maybe I'll just, I don't know, maybe I'll just borrow from the free company chest, right? No problem, right? Like a credit card, I am left owing. I have stooped to such lowly levels of man to go into debt to afford something I cannot afford, all because my brain chemistry demands I have a fish tied to a stick to use for bludgeoning my enemy. Like some sort of degenerate gamer who couldn't figure out the funds and was bound for Final Fantasy XIV McDonald's. Or Subway, like a Stinian.
Meatball marinara.
For the dumbest weapon of all the game's history that absolutely does not mog on the ultimate weapons at a very objective level. Worth it. And for what it's worth, I did pay back the 2 million back a couple of days later. No problem. Thank you, RNG, to retainer boxes. To be clear, unless you're an absolute giga chad and roll no glam while you farm endgame for the highest item level, weapons don't really matter. Like, you're gonna be slapping a transmog on this stuff so fast to look the coolest you can look. There are 2 types of players. Players that glamour to look stacked, geared, cool with a theme. Solaire of Astora in their glorious incandescence, or Aegon of Karim watching over Milady. Henri of Astora, my true waifu. With intent, medieval, looking dangerous in a fantasy world. Then there's players that want to look casual. Isekai, looking like a high school badass Persona style, or rocking the streetwear with some big sword that just disappears when they're done doing their business. Then there's the forbidden ones. Horny. Weapons are like the cherry on top to a good glam. It's gotta make sense in the context of your experience online and how you want to show up. And there truly is no lack of selection when it comes to weapons in Final Fantasy XIV. Like when those new patches come out and some YouTuber goes ahead and compiles them all for our pleasure the next day to browse. How they do that, I don't know. I'm not like a data mining guy or whatever, but I am grateful that those videos exist before I stumble through Eureka, only to realize that this weapon I've been farming actually looks like a literal stick of poo. And then there are those weapons, like ultimate weapons, relic weapons, or the exquisite weapons that are such staples of showing how you've conquered a feat. You overcame a challenge. Clearing an ultimate is big business. So is completing your first A Realm Reborn relic, and you will never do it again afterward until you do one day. I can't explain. It just happened. Even with like the Heaven's Ward relics, like one day you complete a weapon and you're like, wow, that sucked. I'll never do that again. But then months later, you'll be like, I'll do it again. In this context for me, it's that I overcame the absolute hurdle of finding 12 mil somehow. Because having a bombfish on a stick is awesome, and now I look like a gritty, badass, seasoned warrior. medium rare. But one last like side quest here. Does anyone remember how the Asphodelos and Abyssos sets were like cool and glowy, and the community collectively agreed like, wow, it's great to actually have some real raid gear with some real effects for once. Especially some of my like WoW playing friends that enjoy their characters looking so stacked, and they check out Final Fantasy XIV part-time like it's their MMORPG vacation getaway. That was some cool armor, but I always thought it was funny that it was like introduced in the collective Final Fantasy XIV community, seemingly just like kind of got over it after a while. Like we demand cool shiny things, but then there's too much shiny, but the pieces don't quite fit right into your Warrior of Light headcanon. Even if that's just like cosplaying a Starbucks employee online, or you're role-playing as like Guts but in Eorzea. Because sometimes it's not about flexing the shiny thing, but sometimes it kind of is. Some players like the effects on stuff or want the whole character to light up, and that's cool too. But it's okay to be wrong, because this is the coolest weapon of all time.